Welcome to High School Football Report, sponsored by Showcase Sports. I'm Dan Russell with Dave Birnbaum. Dave, tough weekend up at Rutgers.
And not good.
Kind of an ugly, brutal.
Not good for a championship weekend.
Miserable kind of weekend for these two guys. Both teams go up there to Rutgers playing in big games. Both teams come away with losses. Both get shut out. Really poor performances really all around.
Yeah.
We can start off, we'll talk about Hammonton this segment. We'll come back talk about St. Joe after the break. But Hammonton goes up. They're Central Jersey Group 4 champions. They're playing Shawnee, who won South Jersey Group 4, the regional championship game kind of thing. Essentially a state semifinal, although there's no championship after that. So it ends the season up there. A lot of people would say the game doesn't really mean anything, but it does to the players and the coaches, I think. But Shawnee wins this one 34-0. Really, I thought, the story of the game was really just the mistakes that Hammonton made. I mean, when you look at the stat sheet, the numbers aren't that horrible. I mean, the Blue Devils outgained Shawnee on the ground, had 154 yards rushing. Shawnee had 140, but Shawnee was able to hit some passes. The Wellesley kid was 9 of 15 for 139 yards, threw a couple of touchdown passes too. So, it was...
Yeah, the turnovers.
The turnovers killed Hammonton, really. The turnovers and the penalties. Hammonton had 5 turnovers in this game. They lost 3 fumbles. Ryan Bartz was intercepted twice. Had a couple other interceptions that got negated by penalties. Weren't able to throw the ball really at all. I mean, Bartz was 0-6 in this game throwing the football. Jaden Abrams, who missed that first game against Shawnee with a concussion while he was recovering, came back, ran 21 times, got 90 yards. The first time all season he was held under 100 yards. Really, I think Hammonton came in thinking that with Jaden on the field was going to make a big difference, but he really wasn't a factor in this one. Didn't have a lot of big runs. His longest run was 11 yards. He did average 4.5, about 4.3 a carry in this game. But Shawnee, score was first quarter. Shawnee gets a drive in the second quarter. They go up.
They were just dominating.
7-0. And then what I thought kind of turned the game a little bit was, there was a turnover late in the half. Shawnee got an interception, and it set up a touchdown pass from Wellesley to Nate Somerville that put the Renegades up 14-0 at the half. I think if that game had been 7-0 halftime, Hammonton maybe comes out, does something to start the second half, and they can stay in the game. But after that, it kind of got broken wide open. Another touchdown run, a 1-yard run, capped the drive that put the Renegades up 21-0. They threw another touchdown pass, 44-yarder, to go 27-0. And they scooped a fumble up and ran it in for a touchdown. The Soriano kid.
Just everything went wrong.
Yeah, it just kind of snowballed at that point.
Let me ask you something, David. Do you feel the week off, having the bye going into the championship game, do you think that was a factor in this game?
I do a little bit. I think, and that's one of the things that, there's a big push to get rid of Thanksgiving games. But I think, what you saw this week, really in both of these games, is you saw teams, Shawnee and Holy Spirit had played the week before.
Yeah.
They had played on Thanksgiving, so, it was a Thursday to either Saturday or a Sunday. So they had maybe a 9 or 10 day break. Whereas Hammonton had been off 2 weeks. St. Joe had been off 2 weeks. For St. Joe, they had only played twice in about a month. So, for them, I don't know. There was a little bit of rust, I think. There's only so much you can simulate in practice. You have to get game action. Shawnee, I think, maybe a little bit more motivated in this game because they had gotten to that point last year and lost. So, for them to come back and maybe get a win and come away with that regional championship was nice for them. Like Coach Razzo said, once things kind of started going downhill, they went downhill really fast for Hammonton. They weren't able to move the sticks, weren't able to get out of their own end. Field position was big, and then penalties. They had 8 penalties in this game, cost them 84 yards, and probably 2 of the drives that Shawnee had for touchdowns. The first touchdown they had, and then the one later on that the Wellesley kids scored on the 1-yard run. Both drives were kept alive by Hammonton penalties. And that was something that all year long Coach Razzo preached create turnovers, which they didn't do. They turned it over 5 times, did not get 1 turnover on the other end, and didn't move the sticks. And they let other teams, this is what happened to them a year ago when they were 3-7.
Right.
Is they had a lot of games, a lot of matchups where they were hurting themselves. They had teams in third downs, and Shawnee was 5 of 11 on third down conversions. Hammonton was 2 of 8. And some of those were because of penalties. It was just a situation where they had them stopped. Maybe could have forced a punt, but we jump off sides, or we get a dumb personal foul penalty or something like that, and it really kind of hurt them a little bit. And tough way to end the year. The defense played real well, especially early in this game. A.J. Riker made a couple big stops. Hunter McDuff had a stop in the backfield. Keyshawn Clayton, who didn't play in that first game because he was sitting his 30 days after transferring, he made a tackle in the backfield.
I mean, they were and are an incredible squad. It's
Yes.
just, they couldn't end the season. What everyone thought they were going to
Exactly.
do. So.
And when you look back, 10-3, very good year. They win a sectional championship. They won 9 games in a row. First winning season since 2015. Longest winning streak since then. First championship since 2009. So this team accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think this is really going to take anything of that away. Like Coach said after the game, they're going to get their jackets, they're going to get their rings. They're going to look back and say, hey, we won a championship that no one thought we could win. And nobody, you and I, either had them going 10-3 and getting this far. The fact that they played 13 games this year really tells the story and what a great season that the Blue Devils had. You got to take your hat off to them. Great year. They're going to lose some good seniors. Guys like Caleb Nardi, who had 44 yards rushing in this game. He had to carry on the last play for the Blue Devils in this one. Capped a pretty good career for himself. You're going to lose a quarterback, Ryan Bartz, but a lot of this team comes back next year, including that entire offensive line, which had a really great year. Didn't play over their heads in this game, but they got a little pushed around by a bigger Shawnee team.
Yeah.
But top to bottom, Hammonton's got a real good shot at repeating again next year.
And I think they're going to come back with a chip on their shoulder and ready to. They want to go all the way next year.
Absolutely. And next year, there's potential that next year the game that we played this week will be a true semifinal, and the winner would advance to a state championship game. So hopefully that comes to fruition and they do something about that, because kind of the atmosphere up at Rutgers was kind of like some of the teams were kind of like I know Cedar Creek coach Tim Watson said after the game, for us it was kind of just okay, it's an extra game. They just figured, they'd go up there, they'd play, they'd take their shot. They wound up losing that game. The Hillside, kind of got out of control on them. Similar to this, kind of snowballed on them in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. But, top to bottom, good game for Hammonton, good way to end their season. And hopefully they can build on this and have a better year next year.
Well, let's see what happens. I'm ready for it, though.
All right. Well, that wraps up our look at Hammonton's game last week. We come back, we're taking a look at St. Joe. Things went bad for Hammonton. They went a little worse for St. Joe last week. And we'll talk about that right after this.
Well, my friends, when it comes to real estate, buy with Byrne, sell with Byrne. Whatever you want to do with real estate, do it with Dave Birnbaum of RE/MAX Community, and you'll be buying or selling before you know it. So buy with Byrne or sell with Byrne. Just make sure to see Dave Birnbaum at RE/MAX Community.
Maplewood is known for their homemade spaghetti. Their comfortable atmosphere and seating with complimentary bread and salad, along with great service to make it feel like home. At Maplewood, you are sure to get that Italian family love.
Gazette Print Shop is here for you or your business. Whether you need a logo, posters, mugs, stationery, t-shirts, and much more, they can design it and make it a reality. Gazette Print Shop will help you promote your business and spread your message. Give your marketing a new direction with GPS. Gazette Print Shop. Back pain? See Doc Manny today. Dr. Emmanuel Sanfilippo is a certified chiropractor and sports practitioner. With more than 25 years' experience, he knows what you need to feel like yourself again. Go to Showcase Sports when you're looking for high school sports equipment and apparel, featuring gear with the logos of the Hammonton Blue Devils, St. Joseph Wildcats, and other high school teams.
54 Fitness is the gym that has everything you need. From various workout equipment, treadmills, to many weight machines, 54 Fitness will get you in shape.
Welcome back to High School Football Report. Again, we're sponsored by Showcase Sports. Hammonton had a rough week, but so did St. Joe. They go up there and really got manhandled by Holy Spirit. rematch of a game that the Wildcats escaped with a 22-19 win. And I think, there are a lot of people, when I got to the press box before the game, it was kind of funny because a lot of the guys that don't cover St. Joe every day were asking me, what do you think is going to happen? And I said, well, interesting game. I think it's going to be close. I think St. Joe maybe pulls it out. And they were like, oh, no, St. Joe's going to kill them, this and that. And I said, I don't know, you guys weren't at that first game. I mean, Spirit was driving late. Really, and even Coach Sacco said after the game, Spirit probably should have won the first game. So it didn't really surprise me that Spirit won the game. What did surprise me, though, was the way they won. I mean, they really just dominated from the opening kickoff to the final, to the horn went off at the end of the game. I mean, this was just an embarrassing kind of loss for St. Joe. It's not the way you want to end the season.
Yeah, it's a shame because, I mean, with Jada breaking the record and you wanted to have him his senior year win the championship, it's just a shame how it ended.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, we lost in a championship game, but it's another thing to say, we got just destroyed and lose 38-0 in a game that they really were never in. I mean, you look at the drive chart, which is somewhere on here. Spirit's opening drive, they go down to the St. Joe 7-yard line and they stall out. I mean, there was a pass broken up in the end zone. Next drive for Spirit, Jada Byers had an interception, but then Spirit scores on a touchdown. Then they get another interception and a punt. And then right before the half, they got a score. I mean, it was tough for St. Joe. I mean, St. Joe's possessions, first possession ends in a safety, punt, stall on downs, end of the half, punt, downs. I mean, St. Joe really could not. I mean,
they just
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3-and-outs in this game. Just could not get the ball going. Lost 7 yards on their first drive, lost 7 yards on their third drive, lost 7 yards later on, right before the half. First drive of the second half had a negative 26 yards. I mean, it was tough. You look at the time of possession on these drives, a minute 33, 2:07, 144, 56 seconds, 148, 49 seconds, 107, 250. The longest drive, the best drive of the game for St. Joe was the last drive. 8 plays, 46 yards, 34 of them came on a Jada Byers run, and they consumed 5 minutes of the clock. But, I mean, for St. Joe, first half really told the story. You got one first down that came on their last drive and 1 yard of total offense. When you look at the night that Byers had, I mean, they shut him down. The Holy Spirit, I guess their game plan was Jada Byers was not going to beat them, and he didn't. He had 8 carries, had 35 yards rushing. Like I said, 34 of them came on one play. Yeah. Caught 2 passes for 15 yards. Actually threw a pass in this one and completed one. But, tough night for the Wildcats. I mean, defensively, Coach Sacco said, he goes, we didn't block anybody. They were in the backfield all day. Shurtell got sacked 7 times in this game. Just an awful performance. And you got to tip your hat to Holy Spirit. I mean, they came in highly motivated. They wanted to win a state championship. They walk away with one. They dominated. Did not allow a point. Did not allow a whole lot of yards. I mean, the total yardage really in this game tells the story.
I mean, we weren't picturing this prediction at all.
No, St. Joe got outgained by more than 300 yards. 349 yards of offense for Holy Spirit, 47 for the Wildcats. I mean, it was 1.2 yards a play. I mean, St. Joe almost didn't advance the ball past the line of scrimmage on most of their plays. It was really kind of an embarrassing loss. Have not seen a St. Joe team get pushed around like this in a long time. And you got to wonder. I know it's a young offensive line, but they did not play well in this game. You don't want to point the finger at kids. They're trying to just go out there and do their best, and they did. I mean, St. Joe didn't really give up in this game. They kept working, they kept trying. But sometimes you run into a better team, and on Sunday, Holy Spirit was far and away the better team.
No, and I think when you look at last year's St. Joe team to this year, it's the front line that really showed the difference of each team. Because last year the front line was blocking, holding their blocks, giving Jada more opportunities. This year it just, they struggled. You saw it throughout the season. They were winning games, but they did struggle. It's just a shame that would happen right at the end with Jada Byers having a season like he did.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Jada caps his career. I mean, I think he needed 2 touchdowns to become the all-time leading scorer in state history. It didn't happen. Did not, again, he was held in check the whole night, and they weren't really able to even use him as a decoy just because, the fact that when they did try to, run guys off of Jada, to get guys open, Shurtell didn't have any time to throw. I mean, he was under constant pressure. 8 of 21 throwing the football in this game for 57 yards. The longest play was a 14-yard catch by Keyshawn Griffin. So, tough break for St. Joe. Not the way they want their season to end. They're going to lose some good players, and their best player, Jay's going to graduate. Yep. Not the way he wanted to go out, but looks like he's going to be heading to Sacred Heart University, continue his career up there. That's what he announced. So hopefully that'll work out for him. He told me after the game he was going to go to college and play the same kind of way he played in high school, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, looking to prove something. I mean, he feels like, there were a lot of schools out there that passed on him because of his size, because of some different things, and he wants to prove them all wrong and show the world what kind of player he can be. I mean, the guy is arguably one of the best high school players I ever saw, and hopefully, good luck to him in his career. But absolutely. I mean, as for St. Joe, they got to regroup now. They got to pull together and see what they can do to get themselves better. I mean, they will bring back a lot of talent on this team next year. So, will they make it to a state final next year? It's going to be tough to say. If the state goes to 2 non-public groups, it's going to make the road a lot tougher for St. Joe, because they're going to have, probably teams like Red Bank Catholic, maybe St. John Vianney, those kind of teams in their groups. Going to be DePaul's going to be very tough if they have to play them. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this run that St. Joe's had of championships in the last 20 years, windows may be closing a little bit just because of the way the state situation is.
Well, I mean, Dan, everything that you've covered this whole season and everything, it's been an honor sitting next to you here and everything.
It's always fun, man. It's cool.
Yeah, you're saying, but to both teams, congratulations with everything that you have accomplished and everything. So I'm excited to see next season. It's always sad to end the season, especially not on a high note.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about how Hammonton, the outstanding season they had. St. Joe. The difference with St. Joe is the expectation is always state championship.
Yes.
And there's very few teams top to bottom in New Jersey that can in August can say, hey, you know what, it's not going to be a good year unless we win a state championship. Most teams to go 9-2 like St. Joe did this year, and reach a state final, that would be a historic season for a lot of programs. I think sometimes you got to put it in perspective a little bit. These kids have nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, they played their hearts out all year. They ran into a very good team. They knew what they were getting with Holy Spirit. I think back in August, most people would have told you that was going to be the state final. I think a lot of people thought it could go either way. And especially if you saw that first game, 2 pretty evenly matched teams. If they played each other 50 times, it probably, one team probably wins maybe 26 or 27, the other one, falls a little bit short. That's how close those 2 teams are right now. But, for St. Joe, again, the expectations are going to be there again next year. Hammonton's going to have a little bit of a target on their back next year too, because people are going to be shooting for them.
Yep,
you're not going to fly under the radar anymore after you win a title. So we'll see. But it should be 2 good years next year, and hopefully we'll be back talking about it. It'll be a lot of fun, and that wraps up this season for us. Good year. Went much longer than I think we both thought it would, but
we had fun doing it. Though.
We did. It was a good time, and so like I said, that wraps up our season. We'll come back in August and we'll preview the football year. So thanks for watching and enjoying everything. And with that, I'm Dan Russelman.
I'm Dave Birnbaum, and stay classy, South Jersey.